A magical land of clear alpine days. Majestic snow-capped mountains with peaks stretching to the sky. Chugging steam trains. The echo of cowbells in mountain pastures. Villages rich in history. Fine clocks and friendly people. International Video Network welcomes you on this video visit to Switzerland. Switzerland is a vital, thriving nation that has successfully merged its long history and traditions with modern lifestyles. Although it's a small European country, it plays an important international role as a neutral republic. Switzerland's well-educated and skilled workforce has a reputation for quality. The Swiss people are admired the world over for their high standard of living and their well-maintained cities. Switzerland is nestled in the heart of Europe, surrounded by Germany, Austria, Liechtenstein, Italy, and France. In all, the breathtaking countryside covers 16,000 square miles, twice the size of Massachusetts. Much of its borders are defined by mountains, lakes, and rivers. Throughout history, these natural barriers have not isolated Switzerland from the influence of its European neighbors. For centuries, traders, travelers, and conquerors have used Switzerland as a main route between northern and southern Europe. The effect of settlements and occupations by other Europeans can be seen in the many diverse cultures and languages that are found here. The proximity of the bordering countries creates distinct cultural regions.
In Switzerland, we speak four languages, the main European languages, that is German, French, Italian, and also Romansh. Romansh is a language, a Latin language, which is spoken by only 1% of the population, or less than 1%.
Romansh, developed during the 5 centuries that Switzerland was part of the Roman Empire. Towards the end of the 4th century, the Romans migrated to the mountain area in the southeast of Switzerland, taking their language with them. The Latin name for Switzerland, Confederation Helvetica, is still represented today in the letters CH on the back of every Swiss car. One-sixth of the Swiss population live in Zurich, a center of finance and industry in northeast Switzerland. This vital metropolis lies on the banks of Lake Zurich and the Limmat River. The city has a strong international character, a legacy from its long history as a crossroads for European trade routes. Zurich's Kloten Airport is one of the busiest airports in Europe, with direct connections to over 70 countries. Switzerland has over 1,500 lakes and rivers, so bridges are common sights in most Swiss cities. Several bridges in Zurich cross the Limmat River, like the famous Münsterbrücke. Nearby is the Bahnhofstrasse, one of the most elegant shopping streets in the world. Zurich is the home of the largest Heimatwerk shop in Switzerland. These shops are run by a non-profit society and only sell items designed and crafted in Switzerland. Examples of fine craftsmanship and mechanical aptitude can also be found in devices like this funicular, with a slanted carriage to adapt to the grade of the hillside. Zurich offers many museums, including the National Museum, or Landesmuseum, which contains Switzerland's largest collection of historical relics. Ancient Swiss armor and tools of war are exhibited in the Hall of Weapons. The hall contains murals and exhibits of important battles in Swiss history. This mural by Hudler of the Battle of Merignano depicts the defeat of the Swiss army by the French in 1515. For over 400 years, Switzerland endured bitter wars and invasions by its neighbors. Its strategic placement on the main route between northern and southern Europe made Switzerland attractive to many would-be conquerors. After the Roman conquerors came Germanic tribes, and in later centuries Switzerland fell under the reign of the Holy Roman Empire, the Habsburgs, and the French. Switzerland's neutrality was officially established in 1648. Although it's a peaceful nation, Switzerland is always ready to defend its territory. Every physically fit Swiss male under the age of 50 participates in a unique part-time army. He must report for scheduled maneuvers and must keep his rifle and uniform available in event of an attack. Bomb shelters are maintained under public buildings, schools, and in the basements of many houses in Switzerland. A more common sight is children playing in one of the 80 playgrounds around Zurich, and people enjoying the peace and tranquility of modern Switzerland. The twin towers of Grossmünster Cathedral dominate the Zurich skyline. Mostly Romanesque in character, it was built between the 11th and 13th centuries. Another landmark in Zurich is the mammoth timepiece of St. Peter's Church. 28½ feet in diameter, it is the largest clock face in Europe. Zurich also has its share of cultural centers. Located in the busy theater district is the impressive white structure of the Opera House, decorated with statues of famous European artists, such as Goethe, Schiller, and Mozart. A drive north along the scenic highway from Zurich leads to Schaffhausen, a charming small town founded at the bend in the Rhine River. The town was charted in 1045 at the spot at which boat traffic down the Rhine had to be diverted to land transport around treacherous rapids and falls. Overlooking the town is the round tower of the fortress of Munot, which dates back to 1564. This fortress was built according to principles developed by the German Renaissance artist Dürer and has walls 5 feet thick. The fortress provides a great panoramic view of the old town. Schaffhausen is very close to the German border. During World War II, this caused a problem that the current residents still remember.
Schaffhausen has been bombed on the 1st April 1944 by the US Air Forces because they wanted to bomb Germany, but it was a mistake, so they bombed Schaffhausen.
Annual air raid alerts are still sounded for practice drills. As in many Swiss towns, all vehicle traffic is barred in the historic old town. Presiding over the entrance to the town is a statue of the symbol of Schaffhausen, the ram. A picturesque combination of architectural styles gives Schaffhausen a unique character. Near the main square is the Haus zum Ritter, magnificently painted with Renaissance frescoes. Painted stucco sculptures decorate many of the buildings. The fountain in the main square serves as a rest spot and a place to people watch. Nearby Neuhausen is the site of the most celebrated waterfalls in Europe, the Rhine Falls. This powerful natural wonder sends water crashing from a height of 70 feet. It is most dramatic in early summer when the snow melts, but the sight is magnificent any time of year. Adventurous visitors take a ferry to the rock formation at the foot of the falls. A climb up the rock gives a breathtaking perspective of the power of the falls. The ever-practical Swiss do not let this power go to waste. Hydroelectric plants harness the power of the Rhine and generate electricity for the Swiss people. Travel in Switzerland is fast and efficient. A network of major roads connects cities, and even the small roads are well maintained and safe. Train and bus transportation is reliable. In addition to the major international airports at Zurich and Geneva, small airports can be found in many Swiss cities. Switzerland boasts world-famous luxury hotels, in addition to many smaller traditional chalet-style hotels, often run by family owners. Some of the hotels have been converted from old castles or estates. Hospitable service is important to the Swiss, and tourism ranks high as a national industry. Just 40 miles south of Zurich lies the world-famous resort town of Lucerne. Lucerne is located on the north shore of Lake Lucerne. The city itself is German in character, and most Lucerne residents speak German as their first language. The quaint lanes, gabled houses, and cafes give the city a charming atmosphere. Lucerne was known to 14th century travelers as a crossroad for cultures, and has long been a meeting place where merchants market their wares. The Kapellbrücke and adjacent octagonal stone water tower, built in 1333, are the symbols of Lucerne. The tower once served as a prison and torture chamber. Under the roof of the covered bridge are 120 murals depicting scenes of heroism, martyrdom, and war. It's likely that the German composer Richard Wagner walked along the wooden floor of this bridge, since Lucerne was where he wrote some of his major works. Lucerne's famous dying lion, carved from a cliff face, commemorates the 786 Swiss mercenaries who died in Paris during the French Revolution. Mark Twain remarked that the placement of the dying lion in this natural rock grotto was fitting, since lions do die in such places and not on granite pedestals in public squares. From Lucerne, ferries carry commuters and tourists to scenic points around the lakeshore. The ferry rides offer an ever-changing view of the picturesque shoreline. stops at towns along the lake are frequent.
Nächster Halt, Vitznau, Station Vitznau. Hier umsteigen nach Rigi. You change here for Mount Rigi. Wir bitten Sie beim Aussteigen die Fahrkarten einzeln vorzuweisen. Please show your tickets when you leave the boat. Veuillez présenter vos billets à la sortie. Merci.
At Vitznau, the cog train travels up to Mount Rigi, where hikers climb peaks as high as 5,900 feet. The resort areas around Lake Lucerne are popular sites for festivals and celebrations all year round. Even when relaxing, the Swiss have a sense of adventure. But they're not always that serious in their pursuit of sport. The Swiss are very proud of their flower boxes, usually filled with vivid red geraniums. They're frequent sights along the roads and in the villages and cities. It's an easy day excursion from Lucerne to the town of Einsiedeln, with its 1,000-year-old Benedictine abbey. It is considered to be the finest example of Baroque architecture in Switzerland. The original structure was built in 934 and rebuilt several times after being destroyed by fire. Southeast of Lucerne are the towns of Interlaken and Grindelwald, located in the heart of the Bernese Oberland, near the base of the great Monk, Jungfrau, and Eiger mountains. Mountain climbers come from all over the world to challenge these peaks. The original sea of ice that filled the Alpine valleys thousands of years ago left behind 140 glaciers. This one, near Grindelwald, still moves 1 foot per year. Trains and aerial railways climb many of the mountains in the Jungfrau region. The cog railway to Schinnige Platte in the Jungfrau region is a slow but exciting journey, affording picturesque views of the mountain scenery during its ascent. At Schieninger Platte, visitors stroll through the alpine gardens, where native flowers and plants are maintained, including the delicate Edelweiss, a flower that symbolizes the Alps. The town of Grindelwald holds regional songfests where yodelers and vocal groups compete, dressed in native costumes. Not far from Grindelwald is the quiet town of Interlaken. Interlaken is the cultural and social center for the Bernese Oberland area, with a heritage dating back to the early 1800s. Northwest of Grindelwald and Interlaken lies the city of Bern, the capital of the Swiss Confederation since 1848. Bern, surrounded on three sides by the Aare River, dates back to 1131. Bern is famous for its arcaded streets. City officials require that building renovations match the original style to protect the unique character of Bern. The symbols of the city are the bear and the famous clock tower. An intricate succession of movements and marching figures marks the time. Bern is the home of the Federal Parliament Building, headquarters of the Swiss Federal Assembly. This is the seat of power in Switzerland, where the contrasting needs of different regions meet and the unity of the Swiss Confederation is maintained. One of the tour guides available through the tourist office explains.
Switzerland is a confederation of small states, which are called cantons. Altogether there are 26. Each canton has its own parliament and sends its representative to Bern, the political centre of Switzerland. Switzerland actually originated in 1291, on the 1st of August in that year, when the three central areas of Switzerland joined together and agreed to fight against the Habsburgs, which were ruling the central part of Switzerland.
Schwyz, Unterwalden and Uri were the first three areas to join the Confederation. Additional cantons joined over the next 500 years, and by 1815, most of the Confederation was united. Bundesplatz, the square across the street from the Parliament building, is a central meeting place. On Tuesday and Saturday mornings, the Bundesplatz becomes a vegetable and flower market. A short distance from Bern is the ancient town of Murten, also known as Mora, one of the best preserved walled towns in Switzerland. The town is surrounded by ramparts. A walk along these walls is a trip through past centuries. Through windows in the ramparts and towers, the overflow of structures built as Murten outgrew its walls can be observed. And inside the walls, there are picturesque views of the compact little village. Near Murten lies the little town of Avanches and its Roman ruins. In the 1st and 2nd centuries, this was the Roman town of Aventicum. It was a thriving city then, with 10 times the number of inhabitants present today. To the north lies the city of Basel, an important trading center on the French and German borders. Northwest is Neuchâtel. Located on the banks of Lake Neuchâtel, the town shares a dominant French influence with the cities of Lausanne and Geneva. Neuchâtel citizens are said to speak the finest French in all of Switzerland. The Chateau of Neuchâtel dominates the medieval sector of the town. Originally owned by royalty, it now houses the cantonal government offices. The chateau is a pleasant and contemplative spot, offering wonderful views of the city, its buildings, and the character of Neuchâtel. The nearby town of La Chaux-de-Fonds boasts the famous Clock Museum. This is the clock and watchmaking center of Switzerland. Clocks and watches dating back to the most primitive timekeeping devices are displayed. In addition to the exhibits, the museum houses a school for clock repair. Outside the museum is one of the largest and most unique clocks in the world. This clock, designed in 1982 by an Italian inventor, has a memorable method of marking the quarter hour. The canton of Neuchâtel is a winemaking center for Switzerland. Small wineries, like this one, owned by one family for generations, dot the countryside. Wine is aged the traditional way here, in giant oak barrels.
Neuchâtel is a wine country too, and my family is making wine here since 1603. We are making white wine with the Chasselas grapes and red wine with the Pinot Noir grapes. À votre santé.
South from Neuchâtel are the cities of Lausanne and Geneva, lying on the north and south shores of Lake Geneva. In this region, the architecture and fine wines both reflect the French influence.
Naturellement. Voilà, ça vous convient? Est-ce que c'est le champagne que vous avez commandé? Oui, bien.
Eating is an event throughout Switzerland. The quality of food is consistently high, and the presentation receives careful attention. On the northern shore of Lake Geneva is the beautiful city of Lausanne, the fifth largest city in Switzerland. Lausanne is a commercial and business center, a university town, and also a holiday resort. Napoleon, Voltaire, and many of Europe's royal families frequented this charming city in their time. Lausanne is the capital of the French-speaking canton of Vaud and is the home of the Swiss High Courts of Justice. It's a short walk up one of the hills in the old town to the government buildings. The statue of Major Davel, an important figure in the city's history, overlooks the square. The French character of Lausanne is reflected in the marketplace, where local residents go about their everyday tasks, like buying the ingredients for tonight's exquisite French dish. The old quarter is the site of the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Lausanne, consecrated by Pope Gregory X in 1275. The church has a rich history. Local Swiss tour guides versed in several languages are available, but sometimes remembering which language to speak isn't easy.
La cathédrale de Lausanne a été d'abord une église. Oh. This church, of course, was first a Catholic church until 1536, when it became Protestant and when the Bernese moved over to this part of the country. This cathedral is also beautiful from the inside. We have specially stained glass windows going back to the 13th century, made by Pierre Darat, who had only 4 colors at his disposal. Then you have also windows showing Calvin, the big reformator who had to escape from France and who started the first university in Geneva.
There are many popular resort towns near Lausanne, such as Vevey and Montreux. Because of its protection from the winds of winter, Montreux's climate is the mildest north of the Alps. Summers are crowded with European visitors who come to enjoy the climate and ski the surrounding mountains. 2 miles south of Montreux, the most impressive castle in Switzerland, the Château de Chillon, juts out into Lake Geneva. Most of the castle was built in the 13th century. It is one of the best preserved castles in Europe, still surrounded by a moat as it was centuries ago. This castle was once the scene of trials of sorcerers who were imprisoned and tortured within its walls. Plotters against the dukes were tossed into the large dungeons. By far the most famous visitor was Lord Byron, who immortalized the chateau in his poem, prisoner of Chillon. The subject of Byron's poem, François de Bonnivard, spent 6 years imprisoned behind these stone walls. He was freed in 1536 when the Bernese conquered the area. The interior of the castle has extensive exhibits of rooms displaying furniture from its past. The castle provides a glimpse of what it must have been like to live in a castle many centuries ago. At the southern tip of the lake is the city of Geneva. It's the 3rd largest city in Switzerland and considered to be one of the most important cities in world politics. Geneva's Palais des Nations once housed the League of Nations, an international body proposed by U.S. President Woodrow Wilson. After the League was dissolved in 1946, it became the European headquarters of the newly formed United Nations. Geneva is also the headquarters for the Red Cross, the World Council of Churches, and the World Health Organization. Also in Geneva is the International Patent Office, an architectural landmark of the city, where inventors from all over the world register their designs. The city has a lively cosmopolitan atmosphere. Some of the most elegant and expensive shops in Europe are here on the Rue de Rhône. Dominating the old town of Geneva is the Cathedral of Saint-Pierre, which dates back to 400 AD. Under the cathedral, excavations have revealed the foundations of several previous structures. 4th century mosaics, sculptures, and geological strata from the time of the early Christians are on display. This ancient mosaic is one of the best preserved in the exhibit. A reproduction nearby demonstrates what the mosaic would have looked like when it was first constructed. Geneva was the site of the Protestant Reformation, where Calvinism began. The International Monument of the Reformation features statues of Farel, Calvin, Bèze, and Knox, as well as bas-reliefs depicting important events in the history of the Reformation, from 1536 to 1602. Along the Quai des Bergues is the Jardin Anglais, where the famous Geneva flower clock, like all Swiss clocks, keeps perfect time. East of Lake Geneva is the mountainous canton of Valais. This is the home of Zermatt, the most famous climbing spot in Switzerland, and the site of the Matterhorn. Zermatt is located in one of the most dramatic regions of Switzerland. Nestled at the head of the Nicolai Valley and surrounded by mountains, it can only be reached by train or by shuttle from the village of Tasch. The town is completely closed to auto traffic, so visitors get around on foot, in small electric taxis, or on quaint horse-drawn carriages. glistening Matterhorn, rising 14,690 feet above sea level, is visible from the village. Next to the rushing waters of the Vispa River in Zermatt is a church and small cemetery. The simple graves are a reminder of the hazards brave men and women have faced, climbing the steep slopes surrounding the village. Zermatt has over 30 mountain railroads, aerial cableways, and lifts, most of which operate year-round. The ride to the thin atmosphere of the mountaintops is a breathtaking journey. A windy day at the mountaintop is a memorable experience. An observation deck above the aerial cableway station can be reached by elevator and offers dramatic vistas. In the distance, mountain climbers are visible, as are the dark specks of skiers floating down the mountainside. As night falls, Zermatt offers many après-ski activities. Skiers, climbers, and visitors mingle and talk in bars and discos along the main street in town. The talk is lively in all languages. East of Zermatt are the cities of Locarno, Bellinzona, and Lugano. The vibrant city of Lugano, the largest city in the Italian region of Switzerland, lies along the shores of Lake Lugano. The city retains all of the holiday atmosphere one would expect to find in a Mediterranean culture. The colorful and lively Palazzo Civico is the hub of this busy town.
nell'acqua, chi posa sulla sua padella e chi anche la sua frutta. Chi mette la sua frutta, la roba va sul vapore. Du jus de raisin, monsieur. Du jus de raisin, c'est pas du vin, c'est du jus de raisin. Favoriser la boisson sans alcool et la machine. Parce que la machine est pour qu'on a 5 ans, vous pouvez faire tous les jus que vous voulez. De poire, de coque, de sureau, de fraises.
Outdoor cafes surround the palazzo. Extending from the palazzo are streets lined with food shops and stores. Provolone cheese hangs in the windows of cheese merchants. At nearby Parco Ciani, residents and visitors alike stroll in the mild climate of Lake Lugano. The well-kept gardens beside the lake, the surrounding mountains, and a tranquil atmosphere make this a lovely place to spend an afternoon. In this park is the Villa Ciani, one of the several art museums housing exhibits of medieval and modern art. The Mediterranean climate of Lugano makes it a favorite spot for sun worshippers. A short excursion from Lugano is the Miniature Museum, where visitors can see all the major sites in Switzerland in one short walk. North of Lugano lies the ancient city of Bellinzona, with its 3 castles, the Castello Grande, Castello di Sasso Carvero, and the walled Castello di Montebello. The Castello Grande was built in the 13th century. A walk along its ancient walls provides views of the other fortifications and the old town below. Bellinzona is a town of quiet surprises, like this hidden arcaded square with wall paintings. Another nearby town in the Italian region is Locarno, a health resort located on the sheltered northern shore of Lake Maggiore. Some call this region the Swiss Riviera because of the mild climate. High above the center of Locarno, and reached by a funicular or a steep path, stands the Church of the Madonna del Sasso. It was built here after a friar saw a vision of the Virgin in 1480. Under the church arcades, paintings depict religious scenes. Inside, the church is decorated with lovely stained glass windows and other works of art. Local inhabitants will often hang paintings representing accidents where loved ones were lost. This painting shows a fatal accident that occurred in the 1940s. North from the Italian region, the road leads to the St. Gotthard Pass and Andermatt. Along the way, snow fences guard against avalanches and snow falling onto the roadways. The winding roads to St. Gotthard's Pass and past Andermatt provide spectacular views around every bend. The road from Andermatt leads to Chur, the capital of the Grisons canton. This is the oldest town in Switzerland, dating back to 3000 BC. The Rathaus, or City Hall, built in 1465, is the most recognizable landmark. And a clock tower and statue adorn the center of the old town. Chur is also known as the meeting point of international railways and the station for the famous Glacier Express. 20 miles north of Chur, nestled among the trees, is the mineral spa of Bad Ragaz. It has been a famous spot to relax and recover since the 11th century, when it was a haven for guests suffering from rheumatism and other physical disorders. Visitors traveled to Bad Ragaz to relax, play golf, and escape the hectic pace of larger towns. There are special bath centers like this sanatorium, where guests bathe in the healthy mineral waters that made Bad Ragaz famous. To the east of Chur is the Romanche region of Switzerland. Mountainous and sparsely populated, its glaciers and thick forests are the home of the world-famous ski resorts of Arosa, Davos, and St. Moritz. St. Moritz is reputed to be the most fashionable ski resort in the world. Jet-setters and ski buffs flock to this snow-covered spot, which hosted the Winter Olympics in 1928 and 1948. Further north and near Lake Constance is Appenzell, an ancient village with very deep traditions. Although women won the vote in Switzerland in 1972, only men vote in local elections in this traditional enclave. The folk traditions of Appenzell are visible in the elaborately decorated buildings. Life here, among the charming restaurants, pastry shops, and family-run hotels, is unhurried and comfortable. Switzerland is a country rich with magnificent natural wonders. Majestic mountains, rushing rivers, and picturesque villages grace the countryside of this small European nation. It is a modern state of international stature, with bustling cities, a strong economy, and one of the highest standards of living in the world. But beyond the impressive physical features that Switzerland offers, it is the warmth, friendliness, and hospitality of the Swiss people that make it the special and unique country that it is today.
When you plan your trip to Switzerland, remember the airline with a name for quality, service, and on-time arrivals, Lufthansa.
A reputation isn't something you earn overnight. It's achieved by what you do day in and day out. 734 times every day, on 6 continents in 83 countries and 169 cities. People expect the world of us. Lufthansa.
International Video Network brings you the greatest adventures in video entertainment. Award-winning documentaries from Reader's Digest, exploring the masterworks of man and nature. Travel planning videos from Fodors, revealing looks at the people, places, and cultures of the world. Rand McNally Video Expeditions, taking you to some of the most remote and dangerous places on Earth. Rand McNally Video Travelers, whirlwind tours you can enjoy from the comfort of your living room. Super Cities, celebrating the best-loved cities of the world. And Video Visits, whisking you away to exotic, romantic, and popular destinations. International Video Network. Great adventures in video. See your local video retailer or call International Video Network at 1-800-669-4486, extension 850 for your free catalog, featuring more than 250 travel, documentary, and special interest videos.